Hello.
Okay. You want to say? Oh yeah, you're.
I'm gonna talk from here. Thanks everyone, and thank you, Andrew. To introduce myself, I haven't just done the ACORN videos, been a lot of videos, but of all the controversies surrounding me, one of the biggest controversies is what to call myself. You know, the journalists don't want to call me a journalist. They feel threatened by that. I like to call myself a community organizer. That's an organization, Project Veritas. We're training other citizen journalists to do what I do now. It's not just me. They recognize me. Yes, they do recognize me. That's why I have other people do it. Most recently, we did a thing on NPR, which resulted in the CEO of NPR, Vivian Schiller, resigning after her chief fundraising officer was caught on tape ingratiating himself to the Muslim Brotherhood. So Andrew talked about John Stewart, and this is probably one of the most incredible moments you'll ever see on TV. Andrew released the videos one at a time, which simultaneously exposed ACORN, but also exposed the mainstream media, which CNN, for example, had said after the first video that we were thrown out of all the other offices. Well, how did they know such a thing? We hadn't released the other tapes yet. They literally went out on a limb and just lied. So after this all happened, John Stewart did an incredible report where I can't think of anything better of how he summarized the problem with our media and also summarized what happened on these tapes. And for those of you who haven't seen each of these tapes, you need to. You need to hear and see what the ACORN employees said. So I'm going to let John Stewart take it away. Hopefully we have the sound.
The lunatic fringe in this country, race baiting, with coded insinuations and incessant attacks on community organizations such as ACORN. Ever since Barack Obama emerged on the national stage, conservatives have been obsessed with the group, alleging that they're thugs or committing voter fraud. Well, those accusations didn't really pan out. But that won't stop their paranoia, as evidenced by this hidden camera investigation of an unlikely duo looking for tax help.
Scenario. A young woman pretending to be a prostitute and a man pretending to run for Congress one day walk into ACORN's Baltimore headquarters
and are promptly shown the door.
Is it against the law, Maryland? Constitution?
Anything that the government saying money from is always against the law. Unless you get somebody that with taxes and they talk to you, trying to show how you make it legal.
Scooby?
Code for it.
A code for prostitution.
You might have named something else. Your business is control us. Okay, so now, so stop saying.
Or you could refer to yourself as a toll booth operator. General contractor. Used vagina salesman. Remarkable is how unfazed the ACORN people are by this question of situations. This is clearly not the first time they've been hearing this. Oh, you're a prostitute of bitch. You're right to work in the tax implications of said relationship. Hey, Tanya, get me Form 7D. But I'm sure ACORN has a line that they won't cross.
There's going to be 13 El Salvadorian girls coming into this house, and they're very young, and we don't want to put them on the books.
Please tell me 13 underage Salvadorian sex slaves is the line. Are you 13? Oh yeah, Oprah's does it. Yeah, I'm going to need another form. Oh wait, you should try Guatemala. The shipping charges are high. Alright, so this ACORN office has some bad apples. But in Baltimore, I've seen the wire. The place is You wouldn't see this kind of thing a few miles away at the ACORN office in D.C. My girlfriend's a prostitute.
Okay.
And I don't know if...
I'm kind of figuring that.
I'm using the money that you gave her.
know what I mean?
Right, but this action, you don't know where it's coming from. It's what we're trying to tell you.
All right.
We're looking out for you.
Okay, that's DC. I've seen C-SPAN. It's it all. That would never happen in New York.
We buy the house. We buy that. But you bring it in for people and do that same sort of yourself here, please.
So like a tune and put the money in the
And then put your hand there. We're hanging out but that's the grass over.
Oh, by the way, that reminds me. Hey, kids. If you want to start your own prostitution ring, and they're underage, and you're tired of paying tribute to the government, and Tin Can Government Grass makes a great safety deposit box. You're welcome. And that's the more you wish you didn't know. All right. So, good news, bad news. It's good news, bad news. The bad news, ACORN appears to be a corrupt organization that aids and abets criminals and gets millions of dollars in taxpayer money. The good news is, it seems to be very well run. No questions left unanswered. If the DMV was running this well, we'd probably have universal health care by now. Well, this is an impressive expose. I would love to know the intrepid journalist who broke this story, 60 Minutes, the AFP, that guy who gets the predators.
In the youngest fellow in the world, you know. And you played it on the States.
Yeah, I wonder why this guy's ever.
Are you? First of all, you don't have to tell us you're a white guy. Your pink costume appears to be a fur coat on top of your Andover uniform. Where were the real reporters on this story? You know what investigative media? Indian camera 3. Where the hell are you? You know who broke this story? These two. You're telling me the two kids from the cast of High School Musical 3 you break this story with a video camera and their grandmother's chinchilla coat and you got nothing? They did it for $3,000. That's Blizzard's monthly beer wetback budget. The girls about CNN that much just to turn on their hologram machine. I'm a fake journalist and I'm embarrassed these guys scooped me. Get to work, people!
John Stewart basically exploring media. If I could jump to another clip. A lot of people say, what inspires you, James? How did you get into this? Where did you learn the kind of, the particular expose kind of journalism that you do, kind of exposing their absurdities as opposed to just complaining about people? Because we don't complain about oh, this is wrong, this is immoral. We actually bring out the immorality by catching them on tape behaving immoral. And I know that many of you here might take offense to me talking about Saul Alinsky in any particularly positive light, but I wanted to show you Alinsky from the 1960s talking about ridicule and talking about exposing people for what they are. And this young man from Canada is asking him right now, Alinsky, tell us about ridicule. And I think we can learn from what the Alinskyites did. Just take a listen to this 30-second clip.
To bring in. When will the methodology of Alinsky become a part of the experience of the power structure, and when will it then be obsolete?
A lot of it has already become part of their experience, but some of it they have a great deal of difficulty talking about because it is based on ridicule, and it's pretty tough to break out of a pattern of where you are being ridiculed for precisely what you are.
So that's what it's all about, exposing them for what they are. Now Alinsky and his people have done this for decades against people like you, and they've been very effective at it, particularly effective at ridiculing Christians, for example. So what we did is we exposed ACORN for precisely what it was. When Hannah sent me that Facebook message, And she said, you know, James, I'd love to do something with ACORN. And I said, oh, that's cool. What is your idea? And she said, well, I admire what you did with Planned Parenthood and the work there. What if you went into ACORN as a prostitute? And I was thinking, that's brilliant. I mean, that would force them to either disavow or support a prostitute. And I kind of asked Hannah over Facebook, I said, would you be willing to be the prostitute? And I kind of felt, you know, awkward asking this. She's like, of course. I said, okay. And I have one more clip to introduce to you guys. Most recently, we did this thing with Medicaid throughout the country, in Ohio and Maine, actually, and it was on the front page of the Maine newspapers there. We had these people, Russian drug dealers, go into Ohio and say that they were had sports cars and millions of dollars in order to expose some of the corruption in the social services in Ohio. So take a listen to this news coverage from that clip.
Times like a homemade version of the movie Borat.
My name is Evgeny. My name is Sergey. We come from Russia for Medicaid.
The two men pose as wealthy Russian drug dealers who pimp their sisters as young as 12 years old. They're interested in applying for Medicaid benefits for their ailing father, and they visit county job and family services offices in Franklin, Marion, and Madison counties.
So if we're dealing in this technically illicit drugs, and if we have girls working for us, they're not going to give us trouble about that. They can't.
Ultimately, they did not actually apply for or receive any benefits. But State Job and Family Services spokesman Ben Johnson says the video is troubling.
If somebody comes in and says, I'm a Russian multimillionaire here illegally dealing drugs, the broker responds is get out of my office.
Johnson said employees are required to report any suspected child abuse or neglect. It's not clear yet whether that happened in these cases. And at one point, the employee suggests not listing an expensive sports car on the application.
It's not something registered here. I mean, you have this litigation.
Yeah, that's
Right. Franklin County Job and Family Services placed one employee on paid administrative leave and issued a statement saying the agency will be revisiting how to appropriately handle suspected criminal activity that's shared during an interview. Job and Family Services officials say had the men actually applied, their fraud would certainly have been exposed through the routine investigations conducted on all applications. Ted Martin, NBC4.
So this prompted the Ohio Attorney General to launch an investigation. We've done this in Virginia, and Cuccinelli called the state police on an employee there who told us not to put our assets down on forms. So this is just an introduction to what I do, and hopefully I'll be able to show you some more clips as we proceed.